We're going to create us a really fun craft by repurposing an empty roll after using up all our tape. And this is wide enough and large enough with a thick cardboard. You'll also need a couple of pieces of cardboard the same size as the ends to make the both sides of the drum. This Christmas drum is going to be awesome. I'm going to be using scrap paper, and I've already cut a piece for each one of the rounds for the sides, and then a wide strip that will go the width of the cardboard and the actual spool here all the way around for both sides, and a little bit of glue. You may need some twine, and I'm going to be using push pins that holds the string that goes around the outer perimeter of the drum. I'm going to apply Mod Podge to the cardboard and apply the paper, and then I'll also do it for the round. The reason why I'm using the Mod Podge is regular Elmer's glue is good, but a lot of times it stays wet and it rolls up the paper. I want the paper to adhere quickly and lay flat without having to worry about it rolling up or getting wet and wrinkles in it. And this just makes it real quick and easy to get that down and in place. This just comes together really fast. So next, taking a paper that's the width of the roll, because we're going to be trimming out the edge of that cardboard. So if it's not as wide as those, it's perfect. You just want the width of that empty tape. This happens real fast too. It don't take much to go around the outside of this. Now this part you could probably do okay with some regular Elmer's glue and spread it out. So if I cut that right, it should lay right in there without a problem. Looking good. Now on this outside edge, you can use any kind of cord, twine, or rope. And if you're like me, you can actually use some cardboard. So I'm going to take and cut a strip. And what you'll have to do when you cut this is collapse the corrugation in it. So we're going to rub this down, and then we're going to cut it into a thinner strip. And that should be really good to cut in half, because we don't have much broadness on mine. If yours is a lot broader, then by all means. So as you see, I'm pressing the cardboard down and I'm collapsing the corrugation in there. And that's all I'm doing. It happens really, really fast. There you go. So now we got that thinned out, and we can paint this as well to clean it up and make it look real nice. So I want to make sure this is good and even. That looks a little bit broad right there, so I'm just evening it out. It is best to go ahead and cut it and then paint it. Should be enough, so you can kind of test it out. Just wrap it around. Yep, it's perfect size. Little miracle there. I have my strips painted and I've got it cut in half. And when you go to glue this on, you're just going to put it on the whole upper edge. And just make sure it's against the cardboard and covering that upper edge. If there's any paper overhanging, if that happens to peek through, make sure that you trim that off, because you do not want that sticking up later on or happen to see it. So even if it's just a little shaving, I'm just going to begin gluing my little cardboard strip up here on this upper edge. And it don't take a whole lot, and it happens really fast anyway, because paper, takes real quick. And just staying on that upper half, and you can just use your fingers to make sure you're up there on that edge as close as you can get. Just take your time and go all the way around and put this one on the bottom. That way it looks more like a drum. Now before we decorate our drum, let's go ahead and put our cord on it. And using an awl, makes it really easy if you're going to use push pins or thumbtacks or brads or beads, whichever you like. I do have these push pins. I have my awl here. Also, I have these molds, but I want to show them to you because all 6 of these come in a set. I'll be sure to share a link with you because I got them from Amazon, and you can find these on Temu. As you can see, they have all kinds of Christmas. This has the bells. We have holly, and then like the snowman and all the things like stocking, and it's just really, really neat. These are small. You would do like your cake fondant icing, and so that works real good for the clay too. Now what we have to do on this to make our little points of where our string would be is we just need to take our awl, and as you can see, it pierces really easy into that cardboard and then into the side of my other board. So I already have a hole there, and I can see that, so I don't have to worry about it, but that will allow my push pin to go in there, and when I wrap the cord around that, it will just loop over it. Now that you kind of see where that's at, you want to go the opposite. So consider the angle, and you're going to put one down to bottom. You don't want them too far apart, so think of 4 corners. So if you have one here and it's offset, depending on how far you want to go over, and this should be right about here maybe, and I am eyeballing it and guesstimating, and that all will go right through there without a problem. Just be careful, the thing's sharp, and I did get it at Dollar Tree, so if you don't have one, you can get one there. So one up, one down, one up, one down, all the way around. You kind of look at it and you can almost tell it would almost be straight across, so it lets you know you're going in the right direction. And again, 6 so far. So using your string, leave a tail for it because you want to tie that once you get it around, and you'll be able to trim it if you need to. And the idea is it goes under the pin that you use, your bead or whatever. But another way that you can do it is, since mine is a double woven, I can actually take and push the pin right through it. But I'm going to be using glue as well because my openings are large from the awl. And when I did this before, I actually took and used the pin itself. Now it really will wear you out, so to speak. But see how I just kind of fudged it by putting the glue there and then putting the pin actually through the cord just to make it look like it wrapped around it. And I'll do all these because, as I said, I made my openings a lot larger with the awl. And if you're strong enough and you're using push pins like me, you can just use the pin and go right through and push it in there. But this time I had used that awl, and so now I'll just keep working. I'm not worried about those additional holes I put in there because I may do the clay, I may do stamping, but once again it'll give it that old feel as though it's worn and been used. So I'm just putting glue right at the hole and putting my jute twine right there, and then I'm pushing the push pin through both of them, and then that way the glue will hold it in place. Yeah, I still only used around 6 or 7. It just depends on how you go about doing it. This one's going to be a little bit closer because I had realigned those holes. So I've got this going like that. Now that I'm over here back at the other end, I just literally tie this, and just be real careful so you don't pull your pins out and keep them glued into place. and just tie it. You can tie it up to the top, you can tie it at the bottom, in the middle, it don't matter. Just tie it up real neat, just to end it. Then you just trim off the difference. And what I do is I always put a spot of glue on my knot. And you can take a lighter and burn off the fuzz of your jute twine if you want to. And so far, that looks pretty cute. Pretty cute. So now we have a rope design on the drum and it tied off and situated. Now it's a matter of deciding, do I want clay? Do I want to stamp it? Which side do I want to be the most showy? And if I use the clay pieces, I can put them over these little holes and put them all about, and then put a nice scene on the front. Also, if you have your rub-on transfers, they look real nice. You could put a nice little scene on there. And I know that last year I had shared with you these bundles that I get from Amazon, and there are a ton. There's so many different things that could go on there. So now you just have to decide. That's the hardest part. This is how tiny the clay pieces come out of those molds. And some of them were so small that they didn't turn out right. So I'm basically going to paint these. Now I've painted my pieces, the clay pieces. And the more I look at my drum, the more I still am desiring to stamp this beautiful deer onto my drum. This is the IOD stamps. This is the Christmas wishes. And as you can see, they are beautiful. I love every piece on here. And I haven't gotten to use it yet. But I really want that deer on there. And I think I want to put like December 25th. And with these, I could antique them and add them to the drum. But I think I want to use these on another project. And I want to keep this more simplified with some greenery and the 25th. And I think it just looked wonderful sitting about. Now, in case any of you, wonder, you can take your acrylic, anything that's clear and that's acrylic or plastic and so forth that you can see, and you can use that as an area for the cling of your stamps. And this right here, I can see really well exactly where I need to place my deer in order to center it. I have been wanting to use this one. I'm just going to center it on there as best as possible. Look how gorgeous. That is just gorgeous. I use both of my stamps. I'm going to use the numbers on this one and the letters on this one to put December 25th on here. As you can see, this is the stamp on the opposite side. That was the first side. Here's the opposite side. Really gives it that vintage look because, well, it didn't stamp complete. And I did do that one 2 or 3 times. But that just adds to that nostalgic look. So I'm really liking it. And I'm glad it turned out that way. Because then I was able to still go ahead and do the December 25th as I had laid out in my mind. Now to finish up our drum, I've been picking some pieces that I think will look fantastic. So I'm going to try to show it to you before they're glued down. Now this little house, these come in like a set, and these were purchased. I bought these secondhand. They're the Ashland brand, and there's 3 in here. So I took my paint markers and I colored it up. I just did the roof and right here on the awning and this little red around the door and the windows, and just did a little more to make it match and fit what I'm wanting to do. This Santa, once again, things you can look for. It was a small water globe, and when I received it, it was broken, and Santa was just sitting in there, and it was just all the stuff was laying in the bag. So I disposed of the glass and all the glitter and stuff that was in it, and kept the Santa and the holder. I just love it. It's like a woodland piece. So I'm going to find a tree. This tree will fit, but I want to use this tree on this drum. So I'm going to find me another tree to fit in this. And meantime, I'm going to use the Santa. Now this rubber is attached, but because it will give him height, I'm going to leave him on there and just attach it. I also have this ornament that is the sleigh, and I thought that would shake hands with Santa, the house, and of course the tree. Now on the drum, I'm going to also use some tinsel. Now I have this little wreath. I'm going to put that on the tree. I'm going to take the hangers off of these. And with the tinsel, I'll share with you that. And you know, anything that I use, I will put links down below. So when this was originally bought, this is what it costed. I can tell you that now it's running $1 under that amount. And I'll give you a link to it. Hopefully you can get it on one of the Amazon Power Buys. But you see, it is just the neatest thing. And I can slide this sticker off. And I'm going to put that around my drum. Now, some of you may have seen in the past when I did a review on this cordless, completely cordless glue gun. When you press this button down and you hold it for 3 seconds, it turns on and it's red. It takes approximately 60 seconds for it to heat up. When it does, it turns green. And this, if it's sitting without being used for so long, it will time itself out. But this you can run continuously, roughly, you know, an hour, pretty close to it, continuous, and get use out of it. Sometimes an hour and a half, depending on what you're working on and how much you use it. And it has a small micro point on it as well. And we're going to try it out on this project and see how good it does. Sometimes the glue for it can be very quick and steady, and so it just sits on a magnetic base. So whenever you park it, you can literally just put it on that magnetic base. And I'm just going to put a little glue around the edge for this tinsel, and I may need to put more than one round of the tinsel. We'll see. So as long as this glue gets hot enough, it will be sufficient. And just put it around here, around this top edge. See how it does for me. So that looks pretty good. I may need to put at least one more round on here. Let me kind of look at it a second and see what 2 rounds will look like. Yeah, I think I'm going to put a second round on this. So now I've got my tinsel on there, and I think it's going to be well suited that I can go ahead and glue the other pieces into place. And it's just a matter of figuring out what needs to fit where. And I know that the house is really thick, heavy, and bulky. So I'm going to place it first. And let me just put glue on the bottom of it. And once I get it set, everything else should pretty much fall into place real easy without a problem. And then of course the tree easily floats off of there. And just pick a side whichever way you think is going to be the best suit for what you're going for, to shape it and get everything set into place. And I know that the tree is going to bump up against that, so I'm going to do this Santa next. I think that he will fit real well right there. And of course we need glue to go in our machine here. And so I think the Santa will sit real well right there without a problem. Make sure he sits up here. I need him up close to the edge. And that's the thing, is you want to turn them and get them up close to where you're wanting them to be. Then that sleigh is going to go there. So I'm going to put this tree into place first. And I did take the base off of my tree because, for one, it was not acting right. And it's okay if it's at the edge. I think that it will do real well. And when I took the base off, you can see it's just got a solid area there. And it'll do real good. That way, if I put enough glue there, it will drip down and stay seated without a problem. Now, the tree can be bent and shaped. And then that way, that little sleigh can go right there. And I took the hanger off of the sleigh and I just bent the little hook over. And then this is a rust. I'm not going to disturb that sticker at all because it is a rust ornament, a vintage ornament, in fact. And then that way, if this ever, somebody decided they wanted to take this off and rework it, they would have the actual label there, and they'll preserve it hidden underneath right here on this little drum, and they'll just gain value at that. And then, of course, you can see all of your scenery on your drum. It's just looking really, really neat. So everything's good and glued, and that gun heats up your glue. I've not ever had a problem with anything coming off. Now, here's the wreath, and I'm just going to snip as close as I can. Now I can put it on the tree, and since the tree's facing out this way, I want to put it up high. Now I want to take all of these little ornaments, these clay ornaments that I painted after I put them into their mold, and glue them around this edge here of the drum. That's looking pretty neat. And even though it's heavy on top, it's solid, not going anywhere. You can always put a pedestal under this drum if you wanted to. And it looks just as good on the bottom as it does on the top. To figure out where we want everything to hang, this side features 2 Santas, appropriate for Santa. And you have a house here, so you got sceneries of the kids and the bells and different sayings and stuff. And then over here with the tree, you got a holly with a bell and kids sliding. So, sleigh and out in the snow. So it just is working really good. And just depends on what you want to do. And I think maybe some bells hanging up one side. There's bells over here, and I don't want to disturb that. But it would look nice right under that tree, I think. I've got a bigger pair, but I do not want to overpower or overshade the pieces that are on here. So I'm just going to place it right here underneath this tree. That looks neat enough. And then maybe I can put the stockings. We do have Santa and all, but it don't look suitable to me. I think maybe, the stockings hanging, and definitely like the gifts and the little bow. And we have more bells. And the holly, of course, we've got to have the holly on there. And those are larger, a lot larger. Now, this candy cane broke, but I can easily glue that back. And it will only take a smidge of glue in that little spot right there to put the candy cane back together again. It's like Humpty Dumpty. And see how quick that glue cools from out of that gun? It's quite unique. I mean, it'll give plenty of glue, and then, of course, it'll cool really quick, too. So I love how fast it can be tacked. Now, I can maybe put the stockings here and the holly over here at the house. So I'm going to do that. Just trim it out nicely. And since Santa's right here, maybe we'll put the candy cane. And as soon as it makes contact with that board, it's going to stay. A very custom made drum and all the ornaments going there. Lovely. Lovely. I love it. I love it. Absolutely gorgeous. And remember, if you'd rather purchase than to make, check out the website at dandylionssoap.com/shop. And this one I will post on there as well. And I just think it looks fantastic. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please do. Be sure to hit the like. That lets me and YouTube know that you enjoyed the video, and they'll share more of the like. And if you haven't already, do share this video with a friend or someone who enjoys DIYs. Now on this video, at the very beginning, I showed you the one that was actually completed during the live. This second section, we turned this drum that's made identical to the other into a Christmas time vignette. What a great idea. So until the next DIY, this is Elizabeth, and I'll be crafting y'all. Merry Christmas and have a great holiday.